Meeting, please stand.
Peace to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's start by introducing our zoning board members. I have Tom Lay.
Nope.
Is your audio on?
I'm on.
It's not picking up on the
Like that, maybe?
Zoom.
Hello, hello? You guys can hear me in here, all right, right?
When you talk into the mic, we.
Yeah, but it's still not.
Not recording?
There we go. What is it?
Okay. All right. So, zoning board of appeals members, Tom Lay to my left, Cochran, Al Pacino, and Matt DeMarco, and I'm Tom York. Our town staff is Ron Brand, Director of Development, Paula Ruthven, zoning officer, and Elizabeth Klingenberg, our clerk of the board. We have two emergency exits, the one that you came in and one to your right, not that we expect to use them. Meeting will be conducted according to the rules of procedure of the Zoning Board of Appeals adopted on April 27th, 2026. I'd like to have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
By Matt, seconded by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We had no legal notices published for tonight's meeting. We just have continuations. So we'll move on to the first continued public hearing. For ZB 2026-0303, Laura Donaldson, Bridges for Brains Injury, 1111 County Road 8, Farmington, New York, 14425. The applicant is requesting a temporary use permit to allow a limited number of supervised outdoor daytime education programs for the public, with performances to be provided by people with disabilities, to allow the installation of a concrete floor in the existing pavilion to enable these daytime performances, and to allow for a number of small daytime fundraising events while a final site plan is being prepared for the construction of the proposed day programming center and the proposed wildlife education center buildings. The property's tax account number is 30.00-1-61.100. Is located along the east side of County Road 8 between State Route 96 and the Ontario Central Railroad crossing. Property is zoned A-80 agricultural. All right, just please state your name and address for the record.
11 County Road.
The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Where did you go first?
If you want. Yes. Ralph has recused himself from this public hearing. So you can do whatever you want. I got the room on, so.
Thank you to the board and to the town working with us through this process. I did have a question about the concrete floor of the pavilion. Does that need a permit? And is that's part of this existing plan?
I believe it does, yes. Check with the code officer in the morning, though, just to verify that.
So we understand some contingencies and conditions to the approval of the existing site plan. One of those conditions was removal of a hanging tree limb along their driveway, so that's been removed already. So we're working on a plan to address the other contingencies and conditions. And we understand that we're to work with the fire marshal and prior to having any events. So we're committed to doing that and working to comply with the permit. So
Staff comments.
We finally got to the point where we've been trying to get to for some time, and I think we're ready to grant approval of the temporary use permit starting on the date that I put in there tomorrow. I did that just because you go out 2 years and
Right.
the calendar doesn't like to end on a Sunday.
Mhm.
So I think we're ready to go. I mean, do you have any issues?
Okay. Public comments? Online? Anyone from the floor? Hearing none? Board comments? Any comments from the board? Hearing none? All right. Close the public hearing. Next continued one, I'd like to block two of them, both of them together. First one is ZB 2026-0202. Adrian Bellis, located at 5540 Holtz Road, Farmington, New York, 14425, for an area variance involving tax map account 9.03-1-6.400 to allow relief from the Town Code Requirements, Chapter 165, Section 58-B, to construct a private garage with the maximum height of 25 feet as measured from existing grade to the peak of the roof. Town Code restricts the height of accessory structures to 15 feet above existing grade. The proposed private garage is classified as an accessory structure to the principal structure on the lot. Property is zoned A-80 agricultural. And then the second one, ZB 2026-0203, to allow relief from the Town Code Requirement, Chapter 165, Section 10, to construct an accessory structure, a private garage containing a total of 4,320 square feet in area. Town Code restricts the size of any accessory structure to be subordinate in area, extent, or purpose to the principal building or principal use served, contributes to the comfort, convenience, or necessity of occupants of the principal building or principal use, and require accessory structure to be located in the rear portion of the lot. The property is zoned A-80 agricultural. So does anyone on the board have a problem blocking these together?
No.
No.
All in
No.
favor for blocking it, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Please state your name, the record and address.
Adrian Bellis, 5540 Holtz Road, Farmington. So, where do we want to start tonight?
Where's yours?
Well, I'm gonna start with the draft resolution that came out Friday late to me. As I was trying to work with town staff, but that didn't work well. So I got a few problems because I submitted some of this stuff ahead of time to you guys from the last meeting where you guys were asking a bunch of questions about what I was putting in there and everything. And then I guess you guys needed a site plan with the landscaping that the town has had since June for my planning board stuff that they approved in June at planning board meeting, you know, with the landscaping that was required for the structure for buffering the neighbors or whatever. So I guess I thought that would just transfer over. I didn't know I had to email the same one to you guys, so maybe that does, maybe that doesn't. I guess they can answer that. While working with town staff last week, it was brought to my attention, you know, that the drawings show two different measurements for height. I did talk to my builder because, you know, Ron said if I stay at 25 foot and it's built 25 foot 1 inch, it's a problem, you know what I mean? I get it. So talking to my builder and he talked to the engineer and they weren't sure what happened, but he said, well, probably the best bet is just put in for like 25 foot 6 inches. Not knowing that was going to change everything, I would have stayed at 25 because most of the numbers on the drawings are close to 25 to begin with. The one I see is like 25 and 9/16. I mean, so you're like 25 and an inch. I'd just tell the builder he's gonna have to make sure he's under it, you know, but so so that was kind of a caught off guard at the last minute, you know what I mean, for tonight's meeting for change. Now we're gonna resubmit or pass this out to the town, you know, as a new application or whatever, basically, or whatever, you know what I mean, because of the two changes. And the one change, because of planning board with seeker and everything, I did bring the structure size down to 3,600 square feet from the 43, made it more 60 by 60. And costs are going up as this is dragged out for over a year now for me. So, I mean, I'm trying to stay in my budget line, but also was helping with seeker and stuff. So, you know what I mean? That's why I did that, not knowing it would recast out another thing too, but I mean, I guess I get it. So, I mean, and then I just, so I mean, I guess we can start answering questions and go from there, but you know, so I mean, I thought I had everything turned in that was asked, because there was nothing on the resolution at the last meeting in June that said I needed to submit anything to you guys for this meeting. But it says here, you know, the applicant did not submit written information. Well, I feel like that's false. I gave you a list of my stuff or whatever pre-existing or maybe possibly coming from the last conversation we all had, you know what I mean? What's going in the structure.
Submit that sometimes.
Yep, right. But I mean, obviously you're deeming it part of the public record tonight, which I guess I get, but me already having the site plan in for planning board with all the screening and them approving it, I guess I thought that they would have just given it to the zoning board, you know what I mean? Nobody said I had to email it to you guys the same way, so I feel like they got a little bamboozled on that one, saying I didn't have everything submitted when it's already been in the town for a month and a half or more. So,
Anything else?
we can start answering some questions.
Okay, well, I'll turn it over to the town staff.
Yeah, the resolution before you tonight references the June 22nd resolution where the zoning board of appeals asked for written responses to the information that was discussed at that meeting. And we didn't in the development office get anything. I don't, did you get anything on iWorks?
What was asked? That would be the next question.
So something was asked at the last meeting. I was not here, so.
Yeah,
You just referring to all the questions,
all the questions that came out.
reasons for
Right.
the height and the.
So at that meeting, you were asked for what list of inventory that,
Right, which I don't, I mean, also is kind of, you can't manage what's inside my structure, you know what I
Can't
mean?
manage,
But,
you need to make
so the town can't,
residential use and you're not gonna turn it into a business and have storage.
correct, I already said that before, but this is the reasons why I need my height, because some things are taller than a normal, you know, that's why it's a 14-foot sidewall instead of a 12 or 10-foot, so I have the extra clearance, you know what I mean? So Matt brought it up, you know, Zoom or what, because he wasn't here, he was online about stuff, so I figured that's one thing you're gonna want, so I got a list together and submitted it before the date, you know what I mean? So that was turned in. I didn't think there was anything else, and I told you before at that meeting and other meetings, it's personal for my personal stuff, like all my stuff to be out of the weather. Not for business, it's not to rent, it's not, you know what I mean? So,
Oh, we do,
and I know one time, maybe it was planning board, maybe it was you guys, and like I said, this is over a year, you know, I've been dealing with this, so that somebody said something, you know, there might be a condition that if I pass away or something and the house is sold, that the next guy can't just start a business there or something, you know, and I said, fine, I have no problems with that, I'm not running a business out there or doing anything, so I get what that just covers the town's butt later, which makes sense, you know what I mean, so.
well, yeah, we asked you for some things and you provided them. The landscaping and the drawings, you know, that's an internal thing with the town. One of the questions I
That's
was
one
having-
of the things on here, it says I didn't submit that stuff in time because of, on the second page, that you don't have that landscaping stuff.
Right. Right.
Which was
Understand that.
submitted to the town, so that's, I don't,
Right.
it's not in iWorks, I don't know why it didn't get transferred over from planning board to you guys, or
Mhm.
I don't know how that works. I mean, I know how to get iWorks because of planning, you know, but I'm just saying, I don't know how it,
Transferred here officially, right? I understand what
it's
you're,
not like I just turned it into planning board last week, I get it, okay, you know what I mean, so.
right. So You did provide the list of stuff. Give us an idea, give the public and everyone out in the town that can look at this, an idea of what you're asking for, why it has to be so big. 'Cause you understand it's so big compared to what we're supposed to have for an accessory structure.
What
that's
do you
what-
mean by big?
Hmm?
What do you mean by big?
Well, just the size, 60 by 60, not subordinate to the house. They're so much bigger than your house.
Well, I mean, I built a ranch, so if I become older or disabled, I'm not gonna have a two-story big house that I can't do stairs. So I
Right.
have a small, my house is 2,100 square feet or something. I mean,
I got it.
so now I'm only like 1,000 square foot over my house size or something. I forget the exact number, 21, 22. I forget. I had that at one point. I don't have it tonight.
Yeah, it's 26.
So I'm like 1,000 square foot roughly over my house size now, versus what I was at the beginning of like a year ago at 4320.
Right, and that's all good, and you're right, you're down, it's 1,000 square feet, but it's supposed to be smaller than your principal.
Mhm.
So you just had to put it on the record of why you needed that big.
Right.
All we're trying to do.
And I think I've done that too. I mean,
You
I'll
did.
do it again tonight, just like we did, but I think I've
You
said
did.
that before, why I built a ranch.
Right, and you gave us your list, and that's what we asked for, just so everyone can understand.
And, right, and I still want to build one structure and not have to come back and add on to it down the road or do something. I'm just hoping it's just gonna be big enough to ride the rest of my life out. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
because I don't want to come back and try to add on to it and make it
Right.
look piecemeal, like I've said.
And you get it, we got to dot our i's and cross our t's, same
Mhm.
as the planning board does. And then the question is the roof peak, this would be something you could bring next month, is the roof peak the lowest it could actually be to still accomplish what you're trying to do in there?
Mhm. Yeah, talking to the builder, there's no way, we can't go any them smaller on the peak roof because it's the load, like it just won't, you know what I mean? The 412 is as low as you can go without doing a flat roof, but you can't do a flat roof on a pole barn.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just not gonna work
So the engineer dictates the roof pitch.
by the sizing of what you're building.
Is there something that the engineer has provided to you that you could, the town to say that, to state that?
Possibly get a hold of my builder and see if his guy that does all the stuff, you know what I mean? I don't,
Right.
I was just talking to my builder because I was working with the town last week, like I said, about the 25-foot thing, and there was a couple of questions about the measurements, and I looked at them, and it could be over by an inch maybe or something, so I just talked to my builder, he's like, well, do 25.6, I don't think we're gonna need all that, it'd probably be right around 25, maybe 25 an inch, maybe a little less, it all depends, but I don't wanna be hung if by an inch under, I'm great, an inch over, like now we gotta take it down or do something, I mean, I don't know how you fix that.
Right, no, and I totally understand that.
Nobody's gonna see 6 inches anyway, if it went that far, which I'm gonna hope it's right around 25, like the drawings are showing, you know what I mean? The one shows just under 25 and the other one's like 25, 9/16. I mean,
Right, well, you did,
we're cutting hairs here.
right, and you do know it did get a little complicated by changing it to 6 inches more, so we just have to go through the process, and you know that. It can't.
I mean, I guess I wish that was told to me. I probably would have stayed at 25, made my builder hold to it, but instead of going through the aggravation, of another meeting, you know what I mean? I would
Mhm.
stay at 25. I made it smaller, so that's better, but do another meeting. Been here for a year every month with you guys. Might as well keep going.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments from staff?
No, I identified the problem. He could have had the building redesigned, so it stayed at 25 feet or less. But instead, he chose to add the additional height to it. So with that in mind, the town attorney advised that we have to re-advertise public hearings for the structure.
And we have to re-advertise for it getting smaller too,
Yep.
because that was part of seeker, like,
Right, and like you said, you get it. So any comments from the board?
like I said, one more thing real quick, if you got
Sure.
a second.
Oh.
But like I said, the 6 inches was just to cover my butt because of what the conversation I had with Ron last week, quick about and talking to my builder, you know what I mean? I'm like, and he's like, well, we gotta have like I said, it could come right in at 25, but at least I have that comes in at 25 and an inch, I'm not in trouble, you know what I mean? And something like, it's just more to, so it's not like I'm trying to build it 20 feet taller.
Right,
I'm just trying to make sure when they build it, they come out and I can't wait to see them measure it because I'm gonna make sure I'm there that day, but
Nope, and I
you
understand,
know
and
what I
I,
mean? And so if it comes in at 25.1, I'm safe, you know what I mean? So.
Yep, but you understand that once you do that, you trigger something and we just have to follow through.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing was it, I mean, he said earlier too, Ron said that the questions from last meeting, but I mean, I think it was pretty much just measurements of what I was putting in there and stuff. I don't remember any other questions really asked other than that at that time, besides like the roof stuff. I mean, but
I think
we're not,
not that I'm saying that we should direct you to produce comment per builder about the 412 pitch would be useful, because again, like seeing 25 feet at a height and saying, what is the evidence that that is the lowest that you could go to achieve your goals? You have your builder comment, provides us with some additional.
Okay.
You don't have to do it, but if you do, that would be some additional information.
that's the lowest peak or whatever for the structure set.
Said, you get it, so we're just,
I mean, but if you. Pretty close to what? Right, the plans that are submitted, if you, I mean, the measurements were on there when I gave them to you, the town, so I mean, you're right, it's showing it. Right, that's why I said you can't go lower. The only way that you bring that peak down is I'd have to bring my sidewall down. Like I said last time, when you were asking about that, or maybe it was Ralph, I don't know. But the only way you're gonna get that peak point down would be the sidewall, it can't be 14 foot, it would have to be 12 or 10, and then that peak would come down. I don't know how much it comes down, but you know what I mean? You bring it 14, 2 foot, maybe it comes down 2 foot, 25 to 23. I don't know.
I think one point I was also trying to make at the last meeting, was one way to get a peak down would be to reduce the width of the building and increase the length.
I know, I don't know if that would work. I don't know if that's a thing. I mean, I didn't ask, but I mean, I know what you're saying. I don't know if that would, if I make it longer, the peak might still be 25 foot tall.
Well, if the width is shorter.
Right.
I'm sorry.
But I also didn't want to put a structure across like the whole property, like looking like a
long.
barn or something, you know what I mean? Like,
And the point of the questions is
like a long barn where you put a lot of 100 cows in or something. I don't, you know what I mean? Those long ones. I don't want it to look like
Right.
that. Like,
the point is to see if you've considered that and if your builder has considered that and scribes.
well, I know my builder hasn't because I'm telling him what I want. You know what I mean? I'm not telling him.
But again, you get where we're coming from. All right.
But I'll reach out and see about the peak stuff and see if he can write some that the 412 is the smallest on that size, and I can look into. I'll ask him about the other stuff.
Okay,
I agree with him if it's at 14 foot, if he decides to retire and buy an RV. RVs are often 13.2, 13.4, 13.6, so he needs 14 to get it inside. Because I can understand the logic there, but the
I
site
think
plan.
my doors were 12 something, the big overhead doors.
right. I mean, we don't have to solve that tonight, you know, like, I'm on the same page with you, so. Do we have a resolution? You're all set, Adrian? We're good? We don't have any more questions for you.
I mean, no.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, well, do I have to email the site plan with the landscaping to the zoning board so they can get it, or is that like a contingent now, or?
So what the town
I'll,
looked at.
I'll email it tomorrow, but I mean, let's make sure we know that one, seeing how
Yes,
it's on here.
they're asking for that, so yes. Yeah.
We have that. I mean, it's in our work.
What we have, Mr. Chairman, is an original drawing showing landscaping. That was changed, as he said, in June. Then in July, the planning board, in making their determination non-significance, asked for additional information, additional landscaping to mitigate the impact of that visual 25-foot height.
That was the berm.
No,
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 berm was brought up back in May. And then,
so that
the
showed in
then
the,
the engineer, my engineer for that said that wouldn't work with the way the slope and runoff. And then on June 17th, the planning board approved my site plan with the, with the, landscaping, like the
It's right here.
landscaping.
This is-
So did they approve it or did they just say
They
they
approved it.
understood it?
I can read you the minutes right here. I printed it out.
the word is,
July 17th, they approved the plans And one of the planning board members even asked that we are approving this revised landscaping and screening plan and reduction of the square footage that I submitted, and nobody commented, nobody had any additional comments, and then they voted on it and approved it, and then July 1st, they approved all the parts to finish the seeker with the changes and the landscaping, and now it's in the 30 or 60 day, whatever.
Right. Okay, we'll take that into consideration, but you have a few questions for next month.
I do?
Well, with the height. What matters-
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but it's more like, information you want to know, just to,
Okay,
We need to make sure that there is not, under any circumstances, another alternative to lower it.
Mhm.
Oh, and yes, hearing from your engineer, that would be
yeah,
beneficial.
I'll talk to the builder and have him to get a hold of the engineer or whatever. and
It's
figure
like
it
you
out.
want, we want to square this up the correct way for you, although it's dragged out, to make sure that everything is taken care of. So once it's approved, done.
right, and setting precedents and everything, and you understand, I mean, well, you can just imagine. And it was back. So we have a resolution in front of us for continuation
Mhm.
till next month.
Mhm.
I have a motion to accept the resolution as submitted.
Make
will-
a motion.
I'll second.
All, roll call vote.
Ralph Patino,
Aye.
Aye.
Tom Way,
Aye.
Aye.
So, Paul,
Continue to next
town
month.
has that plan, or you want me to email it to you tomorrow? I really said yes or no.
it's the updated from June 26th,
No, it's the same one that the planning board approved.
right? Go ahead and email it just to be safe. If it's easy for you to email,
I don't understand what,
I
what the
feel like-
problem is.
I feel like we have it, but
We'll let them look into it. I mean, I know what you're saying.
I'll email it to you in the morning, Paula, or tonight when you're sleeping.
Okay.
It's the same one they've had, so I don't, okay.
You're welcome, Adrian. Okay. So hang on, Laura, one sec. Yep, we have to finish.
Yes.
Right.
They just went out of order, that's all. Yes, they did.
For the continuation, thought I would do it before. Okay, so next up is deliberations and decisions. So Laura, you said you've read this conditional approval. Okay, and understand it. You've asked your questions. So can I have a motion to waive the reading of this and accept it as submitted by the town staff?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ralph Patino,
Aye. Recuse, sorry, yes,
Catch you on that.
I caught myself.
Aye.
Aye.
Marco,
Aye. Okay, you have your temporary use permit. 2 years. We'll see you in 2 years. Or soon.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
You're welcome. We have no other board matters. The public has left the building. No one's online. So Director of Development update.
The accessory structures task force work committee is having a workshop tomorrow night at 6 o'clock to look at the new local law and the regulations for accessory structures, which has been brought about by recent applications. And we hope to submit that for consideration at the first meeting in August and schedule a public hearing for the second meeting in August. There's a lot of definitions, a lot of changes in there that I think will get at some of the issues, and we'll go from there.
That's it? Good? Okay.
Yeah, and that's it.
Paula, you're up.
I can share with you, we have a second interview tomorrow for a code officer. I think we're close to filling that position. We have a new application for next month for a area variance on Kite Road for a flag lot property. Other than that, that's all I got.
You were sent. You were sent a project notification review letter for the planning board to be lead agency for that. Did you get it?
And check if he's on.
Received, information about it, but nothing to be guessing yet. As of before I left for this meeting.
You were identified as an involved agency. It was sent to the Ontario County Department of Public Works, New York State Department of Health, Town Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Highway Superintendent.
For the Kite Road application?
Yep,
So just saw all those.
okay. Just for the rest of everybody's information, the Kite Road project is a further re-subdivision of the Matisse subdivision project. That was approved last year. This time, the applicant is proposing to subdivide 2 lots into 5. Lots 3 and 4, they want to make the 5 lots. Some of the lots don't have necessary frontage. There's no information there for a septic system. And the state health department has notified Aiden and I that this would require a lot more detail. What I want to avoid happening is I want to avoid the town creating unbuildable lots and then selling those lots to some unsuspecting person or persons who may find that they need additional variances. And they're going to argue that they didn't create the problem, the town did, because they approved the lots. So it'll be interesting.
It doesn't look like Tom is on that distribution.
Sam?
What,
You got John Robertella, Elizabeth, Amanda, Kaden, me.
what at the top of that? What does it say there?
100 miles an hour. So
Yeah, his name is there. up
Okay.
there. But, so we'll have to look at that. It was not sent to all of those people. I didn't send it out. We can
know-
address it though.
I know you didn't send it out.
We'll address
I
it.
sent it out.
Somebody done messed up,
We'll address it.
that's what you're saying.
No,
So we'll,
okay, we have a meeting next month, August 24th. Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Kelly, second? Second. By Matt, all in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.